great American patriots. This is my cell phone. I say it's my cell phone, but my wife takes it away from me all the time. It's 4G, fourth generation. Soon, everyone's going to be holding 5G handsets. 5G handsets will be 2,000 times faster than this thing. And because of that, all the devices in the world are going to be linked and they'll be communicating. So for instance, your front door, your toaster, your car, your pacemaker. Today, there are only 3 companies in the world that make 5G equipment. There's Ericsson of Sweden, there is Nokia of Finland, and now you can boo, you can feel free to boo, there is China's Huawei Technologies. Now you notice, none of these companies are American. And that means Huawei, by the way, is wiring up most of the world. That means Huawei will be able to steal data, which it's already been doing, and it will be able to manipulate your devices, like unlock your front door, drive your car off a cliff, it can stop or speed up your pacemaker, and your toast. If you like your toast lightly brown, it will come out completely black and on fire. But although Huawei is leading, there's a way for America to dominate 5G, which is absolutely critical for our future. So Brendan Carr, FCC Commissioner, what are virtualized networks?
Well, look, in 2015 and 2016, the U.S. was at serious risk of ceding global leadership in 5G to China and other global counterparts. President Trump came in and flipped the script. The U.S. now has the world's strongest 5G network, and we're going to continue to push to extend that lead. And on Huawei, President Trump has sent a clear message. We are going to do whatever it takes to secure our communications networks from that threat. And those of us at the FCC are doing our part to accomplish it. One thing we're doing is we've prohibited this subsidized Huawei gear from going into America's communications networks. Step 2, we're taking steps now to look at taking the equipment that got into the network, including around military bases, out of the network. We're doing that right now. And step 3 is the work the president has done to crack down on IP theft, where Huawei has been stealing America's intellectual property to help subsidize their equipment. Through the trade negotiations, the president's cracked down on it, and virtualized network is another piece of it, which is instead of a network that is all about these bespoke hardware boxes, we're moving to a virtualized network where it's software that's going to run. And when we're competing against China on the software side, American businesses are going to win that fight. So virtualized network is part of the response.
So Mike, also an FCC commissioner, what we have are these 3 companies. They have proprietary equipment, they've got proprietary software. You can't mix and match a little bit of Nokia and a little bit of Ericsson or a little bit of Huawei. But what we're talking about is open architecture so that companies can compete for the best software, the best hardware.
Well, and that's right. You're talking about an end-to-end solution from the 3 different companies. They want you to buy the whole package. In a virtualized world, we're talking about moving most of the software that Brendan talks about to the cloud, where the US companies are dominating and will continue to dominate for decades to come. And that means that we'll be able to move away from the solutions that Huawei's been selling to the rest of the world. We'll be able to push them out of our network. We'll be able to push them out of the rest of the world. And the damaging things that they do today will be eliminated.
So Mike, when you look at the computers in the 1980s, they were proprietary. Now most of them are open. Essentially what you're saying is 5G is going to be the same way. It's starting out proprietary with those 3 companies, but it's going to end up open so that everybody can compete. And the one good thing about this, we're talking America versus socialism. A lot of people say that for us to compete on this, we got to buy a Ericsson or a Nokia. But no, we can do this another way.
Well, and also keep in mind that those companies are migrating to a virtualized network as well. This is not something the government's going to have to force upon the companies or force providers to buy. They want to move in that direction. It's in their best interest to gain the efficiencies of the cloud technology. So it's not about forcing anyone. We're going to use market forces and let the market drive us in that direction, while at the same time ensuring that our national security is completely protected from the harmful things that the Chinese government is trying to do.
So, Brendan, what we're talking about here is the triumph of the free market. It will reduce prices, and it will allow us to out-innovate, right?
That's exactly right. If you look at the data, going back to December of 2016, internet speeds are now up 85% in the country. Why is that? We've gotten big government out of the way and empowered the private sector to invest and compete. More fiber, the high-speed lines that connect these 5G networks, were built out last year in the US than ever before, smashed prior records. And one thing I've heard loud and clear at this conference so far that touches on freedom on the internet is free speech. There's a lot of concern right now about conservative bias on online platforms. And I don't think the answer to that is to do nothing. I've been speaking up about it. There was a leaked document recently from Twitter that said they were soon going to enable political ideologues to stamp tweets as misinformation based on their perspective. I don't think that's the right thing. At a minimum, there's steps we can take. One of them is, why not empower people to make decisions for themselves? If you don't want MSNBC to be fact-checking the information you see on Twitter, I think you should be empowered to make that decision and turn those types of bias filters off.
This morning, I asked Twitter, what would you like to hear from the FCC? And here's one question.
People on Twitter, to be clear, not Twitter itself.
People on Twitter, that's right. And what we got is a number of questions. A number of them asked, and the most asked question was, does 5G cause cancer? Empress Dragon, Luke at TN, MAGA 2019, and others want to know the question. Answer, what's that?
No, not at all. In fact, there was a New York Times story that actually said that Russia, believe it or not, is planting this disinformation about 5G and health risks because they're behind the US on the build out of 5G. We looked at this at the FCC. We issued a decision about a month or two ago that reviewed all of the science. It is safe.
Okay, Mike, this is the question.
Let me answer it this way, too. I'm not a doctor, and neither is my colleague. We are technology policymakers. We rely on the agencies that are full and are knowledgeable about these matters, and they influence and they gave us the information that we were able to make sound policy decisions based on. You don't count on me being a doctor, because I'm not. But we do rely on those that are experts in the field and have made a decision that it is safe for use in human technology.
So all of this is just fake news.
Well, look, there's always concerns about new technology. That happens in every new evolution of what's going to come forward. You want to be concerned. You want to be knowledgeable. You expect the agencies to do the work that they have done, just like we have done.
Okay, I'm going to read another question. I should be doing this off my phone, but my wife has disconnected my internet. So
It is the analog version here.
yeah, okay, John Martin from Twitter, not on Twitter, from Twitter says, what is the FCC doing about US companies like Google assisting the Chinese regime to spy on its own people? Now, I don't think this is an FCC question, but it really is critical for us. What do you think?
There's little at the FCC for us to do from a jurisdiction perspective, but I'll say this. The hypocrisy here is stunning. Those in Silicon Valley have no problem telling the rest of the country what we should think, what we should believe, what our values are. And the second it comes to getting into a country with nearly 2 billion people, all of a sudden those values they preach to us kind of go by the wayside. So I think the hypocrisy here is stunning. I will say, there is a tough decision for these companies. Do you go into these countries and offer at least a taste, a glimpse of freedom, or do you stay out of those countries? That's the tough conversation to have.
Mike?
Well, look, we only have so much jurisdiction. There are a lot of federal agencies that look at this matter, but we are trying to be sympathetic to the arguments that have been made and that are presented in terms of the harm that these high-tech companies present, in terms of their censoring of American conservatives, the work that they're trying to do internationally in the most harmful countries in the world, and how that has built up those networks to cause harm to people throughout the world. So we're mindful of that. We use our voice to help amplify the need to address those matters, but there's only so much we can do directly.
Brendan, we only got a few seconds left. How dangerous is Huawei to the United States?
We cannot treat it as anything other than a threat to our collective security. China, Huawei that does their bidding, they have a list of malign conduct longer than a CBS receipt. Bribery, the corruption. So it's something that we take seriously. That's why we're moving to take this equipment out of their network. Because look, with 5G, it's not just going to be about text messages and cat memes going over the internet, as much as I enjoy a good cat meme. It's every single thing that we value. Banking, transportation, healthcare. So if this network is compromised, every single thing that we value is compromised. That's why the president's taking it seriously, and that's why we're taking it seriously.
Huawei is stealing us blind. Huawei is stealing us blind. China is stealing us blind. Join me in this chant. Stop Huawei, stop China. Stop Huawei, stop China.